Hi there, this is my Concepts and Principles video number 3, and in this video we will be talking about client assent. So, obtaining informed consent comes directly from the BACB Ethical Code for Behavior Analysis, 2.11, and I'm just going to read this off super fast. Behavior analysts are responsible for knowing about and complying with all conditions under which they are required to obtain informed consent from the clients, stakeholders, and research participants. They are also responsible for explaining, obtaining, reobtaining, and documenting required informed consent. They are also responsible for obtaining assent from clients when applicable. So what is assent? Assent is essentially your client under 18 cannot legally give consent to partake in the intervention or treatment plan. However, they are still aware and willing to participate in the program. So, caregiver gives consent for their child under 18 to participate in the study and intervention. That is consent. A client under 18 agrees to participate in the activity or task presented after consent has been given by the caregiver. That is assent. They also may dissent, which is not agree to participate. So why is this important? The child participating in the study is the one who will be experiencing the intervention and the possible aversive and uncomfortable situations that might arise. Sometimes a client may be asked to participate in an activity that is not very preferred. For example, maybe hand washing or brushing their teeth, maybe brushing hair, tying shoes. It's very client dependent. And some of these tasks are difficult and present strong reactions from the client. Dissent can look like non-compliance, tantruming, ignoring, aggression. Dissent is basically not engaging in the task at hand. We cannot force our client to participate. So, assent is important because our client is willingly, knowingly participating. They are not being forced through physical prompting. They are 100% complying. They understand what they must do, why they're doing it, and what happens when they're done. Okay, so I'm going to be modeling for my BTs watching this video, gaining client assent. So I've already gained caregiver consent. Now I'm with my client. We're working on, let's say, a handwriting program. Assent is going to look like this. I am going to explain to my client, hey, today we are going to work on handwriting. It's super important that we keep practicing, we keep getting better, and we can write our name anytime someone asks us to. This is just an example. So establishing motivation is really important as it signifies the end of the task, and also kind of, hey, you're not here to just work, okay? So we're gonna work, then you get to do something really awesome because you worked, and thank you for your practice and your patience and your attempt and your presence for being here. Let's have some fun now. It's the reinforcement for engaging in the task and giving me their assent. So pretend my client, or let's say my client has chosen water balloons. When we're done with handwriting, we're gonna go pop some water balloons. So we have our motivation, my client knows what's going on, and caregiver has given me consent to practice handwriting. When I present the SD, something like write your name, maybe along with like a outlined stencil of the name, something like that maybe, for them to trace. And then if my client assents, they're going to pick up the pencil and start to write their name. If my client dissents, it's going to look like not writing their name, anything but writing their name. If this is the case, I need to reobtain their assent because they no longer want to work, and I cannot force them to work when they are clearly not ready to work. So in their current repertoire, dissent, non-compliance, maybe even tantruming might be a way to communicate, I don't want to do this right now. So we can reobtain that assent by going back, reestablishing that functional communication and saying, hey, what's up? What are we doing? We don't have to do water balloons. Do you want to just talk? Maybe we could read a spooky story. Kind of just chatting with your client. They're human. Until we figure out, oh, we found something we really, really want to do. When you explain to them, first we need to work and practice this really important thing, then we can go do that really fun thing. When my client assents, they will have picked up the pencil and write their name. My client was ready to work. They were not forced to work through extreme emotion or maladaptive behaviors. I had my client's full participation, awareness, and willingness to work. And we were able to work through handwriting. It might have taken a little bit longer than if escape extinction was employed with maybe a full physical, but my client has learned also that they are respected and they are autonomous in their own body and choices, and that they do have a way to communicate if they're not ready to do a handwriting lesson, if they'd like to do something else, or if they might need another minute. Excuse me. So that was a quick procedural fidelity. If I were overseeing a supervisee, I would want to make sure that they were following those basic steps of caregiver consent, explaining to the kid what's happening, or the client what's happening. If dissent occurs, we need to reobtain the client's assent, and then we follow through and immediately allow access to reinforcer or whatever they have chosen. And we have successfully completed a handwriting lesson with our client. Okay, so if I am a supervisor and I want to rehearse assent with my client, so I would just explain kind of what I did, and then I would probably role play as the client dissenting, and I would want my supervisee to practice the procedural fidelity of running through 2.11, obtaining my client's assent. Then I would want to take this this topic, and we would go in vivo, in clinic, and we're working on a real life situation where a client has a program they're not very excited about. And we're really going to practice being aware of establishing that clear communication and following through with that task, so that we've learned how to work through maybe a more difficult task, because not everything that we face in life is going to be super enjoyable, but it may be necessary, and we need to have some patience and understanding with our clients that not everything is going to be super fun, and not every client will comply with every program. We want to be really aware that these are autonomous individual people, and we do not force them to work through big emotions that would hinder the learning process. And that was a quick overview of assent.